Hello everyone, this is Vinayak Naravde. In the recently conducted UPSC Civil Services examination, I have secured All India rank 37. And as my opportunity to give back to the society, I am here standing in front of you to share my prelims strategy for all of you to crack this particular examination. First of all, just to give a brief background about myself, I have done my BTech in Mechanical Engineering from College of Engineering, Pune. Then I went to the US, wherein I did my masters at Columbia University, and I worked in the US for 1 year. It was during this job experience that I decided that I will be pursuing civil services, and that will be basically my future career. And without wasting any time, I started the preparation in the US itself, and I feel very great that I was able to crack the civil services in my second attempt. The first attempt I was not well prepared for, because I was working full time, I was studying part time, and as soon as I returned to India, I was writing my first attempt. So the experience which I have gained through these 3 years, I would like to share it with you all, with the future aspirants, and I hope that this helps you in some way or the other. Before that, I would like to thank Unacademy for providing me the platform to basically express myself, share my strategies, notes, as well as conduct a plus course on ethics and society and social justice. As you all know, Unacademy is one of the largest platforms for educators as well as learners, and there are bahubalis of content making like Mrunal sir, Pratik Nayak sir, and you can take a great advantage about this platform by subscribing to it. So now let's get started with the prelim strategy. So as we all know, prelims is one of the toughest exams to crack for. Although UPSC is a 3-step process wherein you have the prelim stage, the main stage, and the personality test stage. But if you realize that there are around 10 to 12 lakh forms which are filled for UPSC, wherein around 7 to 8 lakh students appear for the prelims, and then they screen it down to 10,000 people or 12,000 people who will be appearing for the mains. So the largest filter in this particular examination is through prelims. And the thing about prelims is, if you fail it once, then usually what happens is you consistently get your confidence reduced, and you start doubting yourself. And this may impact your future attempts, even if basically you are well prepared. So for that particular purpose, I'll be sharing my strategy on prelims, because luckily or through my efforts, I was able to crack the prelims in both the attempts which I gave. So in this particular session, we'll be talking about the book lists and the resources, how to deal with current affairs, what should be the actual approach for a new time beginner who is actually going for prelims. And then there is a thing called as note making. Should you make them for current affairs? Should you make them for the static portion? Or how should you make notes? And then prelims is also about problem solving techniques. Because when you go into the examination hall, there are only around 50 to 60 questions for which you can answer confidently. But then the remaining 30 to 35 questions, you have to solve them based on different techniques or even gut feeling. So that is also something that we will be discussing in this particular session. Then whether a test series is needed for prelims or not, and if it is needed, how many tests to solve. I also call one of the most important mantras for prelims success is revision. So how to revise, how many number of revisions should we be doing. And finally, there's also this thing like one topic of prelims, which is the paper 2, which is of CSAT. It is neglected by a lot of students, and I have seen students failing prelims even though when they have a 3-digit score in paper 1, but because they were not able to achieve 66.67 marks in CSAT, they had to reattempt the examination. So you cannot ignore CSAT. We'll be discussing a little bit about it too. And then once you are ready for the prelims examination, then what are the things you should be taking into account for the last 10 days on the D-day of the examination? What should be your ideology? What should be your approach during this last few days when you go for the actual examination? So that also we'll be discussing. So let's get started with this. So book list and resources is something we'll be discussing right now. Now, I believe that prelims is something about reproducing your knowledge. It's not about reading a lot of things. So what I suggest is having minimum number of sources and revising the maximum number of times. So how does this help? Imagine there is a question in front of you, and if you have read around 10 different sources, if you see that question, you will tell yourself that you have read this somewhere, but you do not for sure know what is the answer, because you have read 10 different sources. But imagine you have read 1 or 2 sources and revised them 5 to 6 times. Then if the same question arises in front of you, and if you have read that in one of those 2 sources, you will be much more confident about answering that particular question. So my strategy has always been minimum sources, maximum revisions, and these are the sources which I have used. I have not used more than 2 sources for any subject, and even if I have used more than 2, it is to a very limited extent. So this is something that I'll be talking about. So let's start with history. So history can be divided into modern history, ancient history, medieval history, and art and culture. And for each particular topic, I'll be sharing the sources. So for modern history, there's the book Spectrum, which is comprehensive in its own way. It is in a highly consolidated manner. If you are taking the new edition, you do not need to read the last 100 pages about post-independence India. This can be avoided. So once again, in the Spectrum, you do not need to read last 100 pages on post-independence India. 11th NCERT is by Bipin Chandra sir, so you can read that too. And if you do not want to read the entire thing, because most of it is covered in Spectrum, you can read only those chapters which are dealing with the Rayatwari system, the Mahalwari system, and others. So you need not read the entire thing. You can read only those selected chapters. Now, ancient history. Ancient history can be completely covered in 11th old NCERT. If you are able to, you have to basically mug up the entire book. So this is something that is non-avoidable, because there are a lot of questions which are being asked on ancient history. And if you are able to do this one book, you will be in a great position to answer those questions. Now, medieval history. This is one topic which I neglected in the 2019 attempt, because I was short of time. But during that attempt, there were around three questions asked on medieval history. So in the going into the next attempt, then I decided that I'll be doing a little bit about medieval history, so that I can answer at least 1 or 2 questions if it is possible. And this time around in 2020, I was also targeting the Forest Services examination. And as most of you know, that for the cutoff for Forest Services is 10 to 15 marks, or even certain times 20 marks extra than what we have for civil services. So even this 1 or 2 question counts, and hence I decided that I'll be doing a little bit about medieval history. But medieval history, a lot of times what can happen is you will find it boring, because there are multiple dynasties, multiple things happening parallelly in North India, in South India, in Western India. And so just reading it may make you confused in that particular aspect. So for this particular purpose, I refer to Unacademy's videos by Pratik Nayak sir, and this was completed in around 10 or 11 videos. So it's a very consolidated and a comprehensive course. You can refer to that if you get time. Then about art and culture, again a very important part of prelims. There are about 4 to 5 questions which may get asked on art and culture. So for this also I have kept the sources very limited. Fine Arts NCERT is something that can help you not only in prelims but also in the mains examination. So that is very important. Nitin Singhania sir's book is also again a very important resource. It has he has comprehensively covered like all the aspects of art and culture, and so you can use that. There are certain chapters in this book which you can avoid, and once you read the UPSC syllabus, you will understand which are the chapters that you can be avoiding. So selected chapters from Nitin Singhania's book. Then finally, once again, there are certain topics like Buddhism and Jainism which get frequently asked, and we do not have a lot of content on these 2 particular topics. So for that, I had referred to again Pratik Nayak sir's videos on Unacademy platform, and they were very comprehensive. Again, you can get these things finished in basically 2 or 3 lectures, and that should be sufficient for you while going into the examination. He has gone into extreme details while dealing with these 2 particular topics. So if you are interested, or if you get bored while reading the art and culture, because that may happen, so you can refer to his videos that will also be a good source for your preparation. So remember, this is all about history, and history is one of the very important aspect of prelims examination. History can take something around 16 to 17 questions on an average. Like in the 2021 attempt, I guess some students were telling me that there were around 16 to 17 questions asked from all these different aspects. So it's a very important it's a very important part of your prelims preparation. So please focus on this, have multiple revisions. I'll be talking about revisions in the later phase, but you need to have a lot of revisions for all these subjects, and only then you will be able to basically reproduce your knowledge when you sit in the examination hall. So focus on these sources. So let's talk a little bit about economics. Now, economics is kind of a technical subject, and there are a lot of things wherein you may not be able to get you may not be able to understand those topics within one reading or two readings. So I refer to Mrunal sir's videos in this particular case because he has been teaching this subject for a long amount of time, and he knows when to crack jokes, how to make sure that something gets into the head of the aspirant. So his videos are very much comprehensive, and his notes are also very much comprehensive. So you can refer to his videos. Then there is economic survey and budget. So this is another important part, because this is completely current affairs oriented, and there is usually one or two questions which can be asked in this particular section. So for economic survey and budget, you need not read the entire survey. You should not read the entire survey. You should only read about the summaries. You can refer to any coaching institute summaries for economic survey and budget. What will happen is they'll be providing you around 3 to 4 pages budget summary and 40 to 50 pages economic survey summary, and it will help you. Basically, you have to revise it multiple times, and only in that way it will help you to basically retain that knowledge and reproduce it. Ramesh Singh book is also a good source, but if you are referring to his notes, they'll have most of the concept. If you are referring to Mrunal sir's notes, they'll have most of the things which are included in this particular book. But if you find any new concept, you can look forward to it in Ramesh Singh sir's book. Just go through the index, see the topics which are not covered by Mrunal sir, and then you can read them through this particular book. Then comes geography. Again, a little bit of a technical subject wherein you need to understand concepts. It is based on conceptual understanding. So for geography, again, you might find physical geography very boring. That was the case with me, and hence I was not very much comfortable with respect to just reading about geography. I wanted someone to explain me those concepts. So again, I went through Mrunal sir's videos on his YouTube channel. It was a comprehensive course on geography, and I referred to those notes. And then I read actually these two things, NCERT for 11th and 12th and GC Leong. But the notes on this particular lecture series, they were so comprehensive that I just skimmed through the NCERTs and the GC Leong standard reference book. So you can entirely depend upon the notes provided in Mrunal sir's video lecture series. But you just try to skim through some of the NCERTs, and this should be a rapid process for NCERTs and GC Leong if you are following these particular video lectures. Again, now environment is a very important topic for civil services prelims examination, because it is not only based on the static portion but also based on current affairs portion. And remember, now UPSC is conducting a joint prelims for forestry and civil services examination, for forest services and civil services examination. So since UPSC has started doing that, conducting a joint prelims, they are focusing a lot on environment, on forestry, on agriculture, which are some of the topics, which are some of the optionals in forest services. So a very important topic, and it is again based on static portion. You can refer to any book, any one particular book. make crisp notes for that particular static portion, and these should be very objective. You should refer some of the previous year questions which are being asked for environment related courses. Then you will understand the depth of details that is required for each topic, and then you start making notes. Once you have that, you will also integrate it with the current affairs content, which will be available through one of the current affairs magazines which you will be reading, and I'll be talking about that in the future also. Polity, I didn't refer to any NCERTs. I found Lakshmikant book to be very comprehensive, and I just didn't want to increase the number of sources. For Lakshmikant, you need not make any separate notes. Just go through the book multiple times. You may require 7 or 8 readings to be extremely thorough with the book, and believe me, it will do wonders, because polity is something that the questions asked in prelims are usually very easy, and if you are very thorough, if you have had 7 or 8 readings for the Lakshmikant book, believe me, it will do wonders for you, especially with your score. So I did not read any NCERTs. It was only this book which I referred for polity. Now, current affairs. Current affairs is something which is very important for prelims. I have also created a separate video on how to deal with current affairs for the entire civil services journey for prelims, mains, and interview. In this particular video, I'll be just discussing about current affairs for prelims, and I'll try to touch upon some of these concepts. Now, why are current affairs important? Because there are around 15 to 20 questions which get asked every year from current affairs. It may be a mapping, it may be a mapping video, it may be a mapping question, it may be a national park, forest reserve, or wildlife sanctuary. It may be something related to a government scheme, or it may be anything about a recently conducted event report which is published by one of the organizations. So on an average, around 15 to 20 questions get asked on current affairs. So you have to be very thorough with them. Now, a lot of times what happens is with current affairs, people start referring to multiple sources. They refer to like 2 or 3 magazines, and then when prelims approaches, they are not able to revise them, and then it basically you lose your confidence if you are not able to revise any particular thing. So for that, I will again recommend minimum sources, maximum revisions. So I just refer to one particular magazine of any coaching institute. You can refer one magazine of any coaching institute. This will be a monthly magazine. I won't recommend those magazines which come like 2.5 months before prelims, because it may be very exhaustive for you to actually go for 4 to 5 revisions if you are starting with current affairs just 2.5 months before prelims. So current affairs is a continuous process. You have to read the newspapers daily, but then since you are not making notes of current affairs for prelims, you will read the magazines and you will make notes in the magazine itself. You will not be making notes on separate A4 sheet or in a digital medium. So one magazine monthly. You can go through prelims booster news discussion videos of any coaching institute, or some of them are also available on the Unacademy platform. So if you're going through them, it will help you basically retain that knowledge, because current affairs for prelims, they are mostly factual in nature. And then sometimes what happens is you may get bored if you are reading a lot of facts. So having a news discussion video for prelims, if you are going through it, it will help you retain that for much longer amounts of time. Test series for current affairs, again a very important thing, because when you are actually doing a test series, you may do some mistakes with respect to some current affairs questions, or there may be a new current affair question which you may not have read. So you need to basically do a lot of practice with respect to the test series and create a book of wrongs. Any question of current affairs which goes wrong in the test series, you have to note it down in a separate book or in a separate A4 sheet, and then you have to revise it multiple times, so that if that question actually comes in the examination, then you will be able to attempt it in a better fashion. So this is about the approach for current affairs. And as I have said, that there are certain topics which can be done only through current affairs. You need not read anything basic for science and technology, because if you go through last 5 years UPSC question papers for prelims, you'll see that science and tech is something, they do not ask basic questions on science and tech. they ask only current innovations about the space program, about if there is any research which is ongoing. So this is something that can be covered only through current affairs. Then there are topics like agriculture, disaster, which may also get asked from just based on current affairs. So these are some topics which can be done only through current affairs and only through this particular magazine, which will be providing you like updated information. So that was the approach for current affairs. Now we'll shift to the approach for your entire prelims preparation. So I would say anyone who is actually starting the preparation for UPSC, I would always recommend a modular approach. Because when you are starting your preparation, you are not completely sure about your interests and your strengths and weaknesses, which are the topics you like, which are the topics you don't like. So first of all, you need to create that interest, and for that particular purpose, I recommend a modular approach. Now what do I mean by a modular approach? Modular approach means doing one subject at a time. So during your first readings, you will suppose if when I started preparing, I started preparing with history. So initially I was reading only modern history related books. I was not doing history, geography or environment in a single day. So you'll be doing one subject at a time. And how will you actually do that subject? So first you will start with NCERTs. These are your holy grail, NCERTs and the book list which I have given. So NCERTs should be only 11th or 12th standard, and you should read them as novels. First two readings of these NCERTs or standard books which I have referred to in the previous slides, you should start reading them as novels. So you will not be taking any notes. You will just try to understand the different concepts, what is happening around in that particular subject, and you'll try to get familiarized with that particular subject. And what will this help is, since you're not taking any notes, you're not putting a lot of pressure on your mind, this will help you to get interest in that subject. So these two readings, they are of utmost important when you are going through any particular subject to help you develop interest. Now the third reading will be from exam point of view. Third reading, so what do I mean by exam point of view? Now go to the previous year questions of UPSC. You can get a booklet, or you can get them online on UPSC. You can get a booklet wherein questions are segregated by subjects, like these are the questions of history which have been asked in previous years. These are the questions of geography. So if you can get any such booklet, try to go through those questions. Try to see if you are able to apply this knowledge into these previous year questions. If you are able to do that, well and good, but then there will be a lot of things wherein you will not be able to remember. There will be some minute details which you may have missed when you are reading the book as novels. So now comes the third reading. After reading these PYQs, now you start reading it from the exam point of view, that these are the minute details that UPSC is expecting from me, and this is something that I should be prepared for. So third, fourth reading will be from examination point of view, and you'll get a lot of confidence that this is something that I have read, this is something that I am actually applying in the test series, and when you go into the exam hall, you'll have a lot of confidence because you will be fully prepared from examination point of view. So extremely important approach, modular approach, one subject at a time, and then reading. So during this third reading, as I have said, you need to take notes. We'll be talking about note making in detail. So you need to take notes during this third and fourth reading. So this will be about those things which are which have been asked by UPSC in the previous year questions, which are something new to you, which you may have missed when you were reading the book as novels. So you should take very crisp notes. Talking about it more in detail in the next slide, but very crisp notes so that you are able to revise them. So start taking notes in the third reading. And I have already mentioned this, that it should be NCERTs first and then standard reference book, or the books which I have already mentioned in the previous slides. Now, how to go with respect to changing modules. So my approach was, if I did history today, if I did history for the next 10 days, on 11th day, I'll be revising the entire thing which I have read in the last 10 days. On the 12th day, suppose I start geography and I finish geography in a matter of 10 days. And then again on the 11th day, I'll be revising about geography. But on the 12th day, I'll be revising about history, which I have read previously. So what this helps is module 1 revision, module 2 revision of module 2, and then revision of module 1, so which is this module. So how does this help? It improves the number of revisions which you are doing. It helps you retain that particular knowledge. for longer amounts of time, because there is some research done on retention power. If you are reading something and if after 10 days or 15 days you are revising it again, then it helps you basically retain that knowledge for longer amounts of time. So this approach will help you retain knowledge about every topic which you have been doing. You need to basically revise every topic after around 10 or 15 days, and this approach will help you a lot. So please follow this approach. It is going to do wonders for you, and it is also going to retain your interests in prelims preparation as well as mains preparation. So coming to the next topic, which is about note making. Now I say for prelims you need to take notes only for static portion, because these should be crisp notes for one day revisions, and these will be with subjects like history, geography, environment, only the static portion of environment, and economy. Economy sir may have already provided notes if you are going through Mrunal sir's videos, or if you have read Ramesh Singh and made some notes about certain different concepts. If you have gone through NCERTs, made some notes. So extremely limited notes. You have to ensure that one day your note should be such that in one day you can complete revision of one subject. So that should be the crisp nature of your notes, and this one day basically it actually means 6 hours, because in one day if you're working, if you're studying for 12 hours, there will be other things like you will be doing a test series, you will be evaluating your tests, you will be basically doing answer writing. So eventually you get remained with 6 hours. So in 6 hours you should be able to revise one entire subject, and entire subject of modern history, one entire subject of ancient history, in so and so manner. So notes should be extremely crisp. And then there are certain topics wherein you cannot take notes. As I have said, polity, you need to be extremely fluent with each concept that takes place in that book. So you cannot take notes. It is already provided to you in an objective manner. And similar is the case with ancient history. For ancient history also, you have to go through the entire book basically again and again. So these are certain subjects for which it is fine if you do not take any notes. And if you see, for ancient history, I have mentioned only one source, which is the 11th NCERT, the old one. So you can be very comfortable with respect to reading this book again and again and finishing ancient history completely in one day. Now, I have already mentioned for current affairs, you need not take any notes. You should just refer to the magazines and take notes in the magazine itself. You need not make any separate A4 sheets for taking notes. Now, very important thing, which is problem solving techniques. Remember, when you go to the examination hall, there will be only around 50 questions if the paper is easy, 50 to 60 questions if the paper is easy, which you will know a sure shot answer for. This is if the paper is easy. If the paper is moderate to difficult, you will know answers for around at max 45 questions. So when you are solving a prelims paper, you need to attempt somewhere around 90 to 95 questions to stay in the race, depending upon your accuracy. So you have to basically solve 40 to 45 questions based on these techniques. So sure questions are these many, but then elimination techniques and gut feeling will help you solve around 40 to 45 questions. So extremely important to join a test series. You need not join an official test series. You can just pick up any material from the market. You have to solve around 50 to 60 papers, talking about it much more in detail, and then develop these techniques about elimination. If you are able to eliminate 2 options, you definitely have to go for an answer. Then there are certain questions wherein you might have read something about it and you have that gut feeling that this is the particular answer. So with solving test series, solving 50-60 test papers will help you develop this technique of gut feeling, and then you will be able to get at least 4 or 5 questions for every 7 or 8 questions you are attempting by gut feeling. So extremely important techniques can be developed through test series, and I'll be talking about it in detail. So just to deviate a little bit from the topic, at Unacademy, I'll be teaching a plus course for main students. This will be about ethics, and another course will be about society and social justice. These are the topics in GS2, GS1 and GS2. which we have dearth of content on for society and social justice. So I'll be creating that content, and soon I'll be starting a course. And for any other courses, you can refer to basically my code VN37. V is for Vinayak, N is for Naravde, and 37 is my all India rank. So you can refer to this particular code to find about the courses which I am teaching and subscribe to these courses. So that is about the Plus platform. Now coming back to the test series, as I have said, minimum 50 to 60 tests are needed. Now why do I say that? And this is only for GS, okay, GS paper 1. Why do I say that? 50 to 60 tests is basically 5,000 to 6,000 questions. Now this is extremely important when you go for prelims. This will not only help you to develop those techniques which I have previously mentioned, but this will also teach you time management, about how to go through a question, whether to spend a lot of time on one question or not, how many readings are needed for solving one particular paper. So everything will be developed through this particular thing. Then how to go through a paper. So these 50 to 60 tests, they need to be solved in 2.5 months before prelims. So if the prelims is in October, then you can start somewhere around May or June, and then you can solve 50 to 60 tests in starting from May or June, whatever is the case. Then how to go about this? Basically, this means if you are starting in 2.5 months before, that is around 90 days, and if you have to solve 60 tests, then usually you have to solve one test every day almost. So then one test every day, you will take 2 hours to solve the test. These 2 hours are for solving the test, and these 3 hours are for going through the evaluation or the explanation which is provided at the back of the test. So why do I emphasize on this particular 3 hours thing? Because you will be reading it line by line. Number one, you will be revising your static portion. You will be going through the answers which went wrong. So that will get imbibed in your head that this question was done by you, was done in a wrong manner by you, and eventually if a similar question arises in the future, you will be able to tackle it with much more higher confidence and in a much more accurate way. So this is the most important phase for prelims. So 2 hours plus 3 hours, it has done wonders for me. In the first attempt, I came back to India when there was around 1.5 months left for prelims. That was when I had resigned my job, and I started following this approach. I was not able to solve 50 or 60, but I was able to solve around 40. So I had around, as I said, 50 days going into the prelims, and in those 50 days I had solved 40 tests. It helped me get a score of 102 in the first attempt, and the cutoff was around 97 or 98, something like that. So I was around 4 to 5 marks ahead of the cutoff. In the next attempt, in 2020 attempt, I solved around 65 tests. Because of COVID, there was a 3-month delay, and I solved around 65 tests, so 6,500 MCQs, and my score improved from 102 to 128. And as I said previously, this time I was targeting the Forest Services examination. I was easily able to clear the Forest Services cutoff, and I was able to appear for the mains. So very important thing, like you see the increment of 26 marks is kind of commendable, and this only comes with practice. Going from 40 tests to 65 tests helped me improve my score by 26 marks, and the same thing can be done by you. The more you practice, the more you evaluate, the more you revise, the more you are going to be comfortable with respect to cracking this examination. So book of wrongs I have already mentioned. This is only for current affairs. This is not for static portion. If there is something that goes wrong in static portion, you have to go to that standard reference book and revise that particular topic entirely. You cannot, you'll read the explanation, and then you will go into that. Suppose something is wrong about your polity and you have forgotten the article of CAG. Then you will go to polity book, Lakshmikant book. You'll read everything about CAG, so that you know the next time if any question comes for CAG, you'll be better prepared with respect to answering that question. So this is the way for static portion, and this is the way for current affairs portion. And as I have already mentioned, that having so many number of tests will help you in elimination and finding topics that you required for revision, and it will also help you develop those that gut feeling about certain questions wherein you have to just go and mark that particular answer. So extremely important step. Again, a very important concept is revision. If you have seen through the entire presentation, I have consistently emphasized on revision, be it in the modular approach, be it in the current affairs approach, be it in the test series approach. When I say that you have to create a book of wrongs, you have to go to that particular topic. If something goes wrong, you have to revise it. You have to spend 3 hours basically on reading it line by line, the explanation of every test you are writing. That all is revision. And not only that, you have to have 4 to 5 revisions for the static portion before going into the examination. This will boost your confidence to a very high level, and it will help you get right even those questions which may go wrong. So current affairs magazine and through test series, I have already talked about this. So this is just a slide to basically emphasize on the importance of revision, but I have talked it in detail through every slide which I have been speaking about. So please, it is about minimum sources having maximum revisions, an extremely important state. CSAT. CSAT is GS paper 2. You have around 80 questions. Every question is for 2.5 marks. So this is around 200 marks examination. It's just a qualifying examination, and you require basically 66.67 marks to qualify for the prelims. And if you have 66.67 in this and you clear the cutoff in GS, then you will be able to attempt the mains. Now I have seen students who have had more than 100 marks, 115 marks in GS paper 1, but then they are not able to clear the cutoff, and hence they are not able to write the mains. Now, why is this happening? Because we ignore CSAT, and that is something that we should not be doing. CSAT is an extremely easy thing, especially for STEM students, but then even engineers fail CSAT because they are going with an overconfidence, I can say, or they are completely ignoring that particular topic, and then it will just waste your entire year, and it will make you go through the entire preparation process again if you are ignoring this one particular paper. I talked about this in 2 different sections. One is for the non-STEM students. These aspirants, usually they do not have a thorough mathematical background, but now you need to understand that the maths and the reading comprehension which is asked in this particular paper, it is only up to 10th standard, and everyone has gone through this particular curriculum. So it is very important basically to practice and to make notes and to have that sort of a confidence that you will be able to crack this examination. Now I'll just talk a little bit in detail about these 80 questions. There are 50 questions on maths related concepts, maths, logical reasoning, aptitude, and then there are around 30 questions based on reading comprehension. So focusing on maths is very important, or the aptitude part is very important. You cannot just rely on reading comprehension. I know a lot of students try to go for reading comprehension because maths, they may find it difficult, but it is again very important to go with respect to the aptitude based questions. Now, how to do that? For non-STEM students, I will recommend them at least taking 10 to 15 tests depending upon the confidence and the comfort level which you have with solving these particular papers. And these 10 to 15 tests, at least 5 to 6 of them should be UPSC previous year question papers. So take UPSC papers from 2015, and then you will have around 5 papers of UPSC, and you need to solve them. And apart from that, you can take any 5 to 10 different question papers of any coaching institute if you want. That will depend upon your confidence. But this is extremely important to solve UPSC previous year question papers, so that you will be able to understand what are the topics which are frequently being asked in aptitude, because reading comprehension is something that will keep changing, but aptitude is something that UPSC may have basically a set pattern for. And this you will only understand if you have solved 5 to 6 previous year question papers. So make notes and revise them frequently. Now this will help you to understand your strengths and weaknesses. If you are good at aptitude, if you are good at reading comprehension, and then which are the questions which you should be attempting to a maximum extent, whether you should be attempting 70 questions or 50 questions can help you get par this particular score. So all this will only come through practice and note making, especially for non-STEM students. Now STEM students. The STEM students, these are engineering, MBA school, science and technology background students. So usually we have been doing maths for a considerable amount of time. We have done maths in 11th, 12th, during our undergrad, during our post graduation. So we are familiar with it. But if you go into the examination hall all of a sudden and suddenly all these questions start coming at you, you may take a little bit of more time, and because of shortage of time you may miss out on this 66.67 marks line. Then to get comfortable with this, you have to solve at least 3 to 4 tests, again UPSC previous year question papers, so that you understand what is the content of UPSC, what UPSC is expecting in the CSAT paper. If you are getting good marks, if you are getting more than like 70, 80 or 100 marks in this, you need not do any more practice. If you are getting less marks, then you have to follow this particular process of going through 10 to 15 tests and making notes for frequently asked questions. So that is the approach for CSAT. Again, please do not ignore CSAT, because there may be a case wherein you are scoring 130, 140, but if you do not have these many number of marks in paper 2, you will not be able to qualify the examination. Now that I have talked all about preparation, about revision, about note making, now I'll talk a little bit about the mindset. When you are going into the examination, when there are 10 days remaining for the examination, you start panicking, and this is something that we cannot afford to do, because we have put in around at least 1 year of preparation when going into this particular examination, and if we panic, we'll have to go through this entire process for the next year without writing the means, without going for the interview process. So what are the other things which you need to consider? Sleep well. Sleep well. At least 6 to 7 hours of sleep is extremely important for the last 10 days. When I was preparing full time, I was sleeping around 5.5 hours. But in the last 10 days, in the last 15 days, before any exam, be it prelims, be it mains, be it interview, I was sleeping at least 7 to 8 hours. That was my strategy, because what it helps is, it helps you calm your mind. Your brain starts working in a better fashion. You start recollecting information which you have read, and extremely important. Now meditate. Meditate for 15 to 20 minutes. And what do I mean by meditate? It need not be like sitting in a position, in dhyan position, and then closing your eyes and meditating. That can be one way. But by meditation, I mean talking to myself. You can go out on a walk all alone, not with anyone else. Go on a 15-20 minute walk, or sit in a dhyana position and talk to yourself in your mind that the past 1 year of preparation, you have worked extremely hard and you have given it all for this particular preparation, and that is the way you will go ahead with this thing. So if you have that positive energy, if you keep telling yourself that this is the best you have done, and you have given you have prepared very hard for this examination, your approach has been the correct approach, it will give you a lot of positive energy, and it will help you actually in the examination hall. So meditating is very important. Again, keep confidence. So keep confidence and keep telling yourself that you are confident. So have faith in the process, have faith in your preparation, extremely important. Now last 10 days, you won't be doing any more tests. You won't be doing any more tests except if it is for CSAT. But for GS paper 1, you won't be doing any more tests, and you will only be revising the topics. Now I would say keep the volatile topics at last. So what do I mean by volatile topics? See, geography, polity, or environment related topics, they are conceptual in nature. Economics, these topics are conceptual in nature. So once you understand the concept, you tend to not forget those particular concepts. So these can be done in the first 5 days. If there are 10, suppose if prelims is on 10th of October, and so these topics can be finished by 4th of October, because these are conceptual topics. But then there are topics like history, ancient history, medieval history, then there are current affairs, other such volatile topics which have a lot of facts, which have a lot of information, wherein you have to understand the chronology. Such topics are volatile topics, and these you have to do from 5th to 8th of October. I would say keep 9th of October to relax, watch a movie, enjoy your time, talk to your friends who are non-UPSC aspirants, This is something that I would ask you to divide the 10 days before the examination, and believe me, this will do wonders, especially this part. These two things will do wonders for you if you have actually slept well, gave proper rest to your brain, and if you have meditated and continuously told yourself that you are going into this exam with a positive approach. So very important. Usually people tend to neglect these things. We tend to focus only on preparation, but this is what is going to actually give fruit to your preparation. So very, very important. Now this will be the last slide that I'll be talking about on the D-Day, on the examination day. So when you are in the examination hall, a little bit for that before, in the morning when you wake up, have good breakfast, take a proper shower, and meditate again. Like, talk to yourself for 10-15 minutes that this is your day and you are going to rock it. You are going to crack this particular examination. And now this will be something that will be in the examination hall. Go through all the questions. If you know answer to a particular question, mark it then and there in your question paper. I'm not saying in the answer paper. I'm not asking you to make those circles. I'm saying go through all the questions. If you know the answer, mark it in the question paper itself. If you do not know the answer, then circle the question number in the question paper itself, so that you can go through that particular question in the second reading. Don't get mired on one question. If you are spending like 2, 3, 4 minutes on one question, you won't be able to go through the entire paper. So this is very important. You cannot get mired on one particular question. Now, as I have already mentioned this, you will, if the paper is easy, you will be answering around 50 to 60 questions, but then you have to attempt around more than 90 to basically stay in the competition, to give yourself a chance to clear prelims. So the remaining questions will be through techniques like elimination. And now this technique like elimination, it gets used in the second reading. So once you have answered the assured questions, once you have finished reading the entire question paper, this shall take you around 40 to 45 minutes. And then in the next 15 minutes, you will be doing 15 to 20 minutes, you will be doing the next reading. So in the first hour itself, I'll probably say if you have solved 50 to 60 test series or questions, test papers before going into the actual examination, you will be in such a position that in 1 hour, you'll be doing 1 hour 15 minutes, you'll be doing 2 readings of the question paper. So in the second paper, in the second reading, you'll start using elimination techniques, you'll start using gut feeling, and then in the third reading again, you'll start marking those answers of which you are not of which you are 20 to 30% sure. So even in the examination hall, you have to keep telling yourself that you are doing a great job. If I'm not able to solve this question, no one in India is going to be able to solve this particular question. So have that confidence. Not even the coaching institutes can solve this particular question if they were sitting in the examination hall. That is the amount of confidence you need to have in your preparation. So that was about prelims on the D-Day. Now, after your examination, you can again eat good food, eat healthy food in between the gap, in the 3-hour gap, and then go for the CSAT paper again with a fresh mindset. Now, after the examination, try to meet your friends. Do not check the answer key usually on the same day. My practice was to check the answer key on the next day, because by the time the next day arises, you will have some good answer keys which may have come out in the market. Then check your paper. If you are sure about clearing the prelims, or if you are somewhere around plus or minus 10 marks gap, then definitely you should look forward to starting preparing for mains, and take 1 or 2 days rest, but do not take an extended rest, because now UPSC is consistently reducing the time between prelims and mains. So don't waste a lot of time and start preparing for mains. So that was all about the prelims preparation. I hope this has been a very comprehensive video wherein you can actually implement some of the strategies which I have mentioned. Happy learning, and let's crack this exam together. See you soon.